Well, hey you guys, how's it going? I'm Jeff. Welcome to the Animal Donut channel. If you're new here, welcome aboard, and if you've been here before, it's great to have you back. I'm going to go over the ANDO ETF. Now, this is a fictional ETF that I set up earlier this year, just in the beginning of May. I've bought 7 stocks in this ETF. And so what I want to do today is just go over the 7 stocks in this ETF, outline which one or ones were the winners and also which one or two were the losers so far in this ETF. And before we get started, I just want to show you, this has been one of my most awesome cameras of all time. During a recent shooting with this, I was shooting a video for this channel, the thing was on a really unstable tripod. And I think I bumped it with my foot or something. I was going to reach for something on my desk and it hit the ground. And as you can see, this is the screen on the DJI Osmo 3. And it hit the ground. This is in the open position. And it hit the ground and you can see the thing still works. Like watch, I'm going to power it up. See, it works. But nothing on the screen. So what happened was it fell over, this here smashed, and now I am out one DJI Osmo 3. These are not cheap cameras. So what I did was I went onto eBay and I bought a brand new screen right here. I haven't even opened it yet, but I bought this screen, and what I'm going to try to do is tear this down and remove this screen and replace it with this one right here that I got on eBay. So wish me well. I don't know if this is going to work, but it was worth buying the screen here on eBay for 40 bucks. It was shipped to me from China, and we'll see whether it works. Without further ado, let's get on to the Animal Donut ETF. Now, the stocks, I bought them on May 24th, 2024. That's when I started these positions and bought all of the stocks. Now, what I did just a week or so later was I bought more Vistra on June 3rd. And then on June 6th, I bought even more shares of Vistra. So early on, I was going kind of heavily into Vistra. Then a month later, on July 1st, I bought stock in Axsome Therapeutics. I bought some more shares and some more Vistra shares. And then something happened. Then something happened that I really wasn't expecting, and it kind of caught me by surprise. On July 17th, I noticed when I looked at this account that I had a lot more cash than I had seen in it, because usually I don't have a very big cash balance because I like to be mostly invested in stocks. But I had thousands of dollars in cash. Now, what had happened was, on July 17th, shares of Constellation Energy and Vistra had come down a lot. During that July stretch, stocks that had been going up and up and up came down, and both of these stocks came down 20% or more. And what happened was Vistra, all of my position in Vistra got sold, and Constellation Energy, that whole position was sold as well. So what I did the very next month, at the beginning of September, was I took all that cash and I reinvested in all of the stocks that I had been stopped out of. And on some level, I think I got really lucky, because if I had waited even a few more days or a week, the prices of a lot of these stocks just started going up. And I would have gotten in perhaps, but at a much higher price. As it turns out, on September 3rd, I bought my shares, all of those shares of Vistra, back at $78 a share. And I had no idea where it was going, but the past, since September 3rd, October, November, we're almost 3 months, that stock in Vistra has gone up a lot. The shares are up 78% in about 2.5 months. Let's take a look here at the returns. Vistra has returned 78.25%, and then Eaton is the next best performer at 28.37%, And then Modine Manufacturing, 27.88%. Axsome Therapeutics, 21.26%. Constellation Energy, 9.88%. Those are all the stocks that are in positive territory. Now, I have two that have been the biggest losing positions. One of them is Monolithic Power Systems, which had been up in like the $800 and $900 range towards the second half of this year. I think a lot of the reason for this, and one of you asked, could I do a video on Monolithic Power Systems? I don't think there's enough new information to warrant making a whole new video about Monolithic, but let me just share my thoughts on this. It's a great company. They make power chips for many, many different devices, everything from cars to mobile phones to electric bikes, even that little DJI Osmo Pocket 3 that I showed you. Hold on a sec. This thing right here, this has a chip in it that's made by Monolithic Power Systems. Now, what happened is some firm that does research announced their reason for shorting this stock, and they said that the chips that Monolithic Power Systems it was selling to NVIDIA for their Blackwell chip might be discontinued, or someone might not be buying as many for Blackwell at NVIDIA. I didn't even read the report, but somebody somewhere for probably financial profit leaked a story that Monolithic Power Systems was going to be hit very hard and lose a lot of revenue. So to that, I'd say, first of all, I cannot vouch for whether this is true or not. A lot of what we read about in press releases or online is total BS that's made to try to drive the stock price down or drive the stock price up. So pay attention to any news outlet, any source of media with a healthy dose of skepticism before you really know the facts. They have a lot of different lines of business, everything from data centers, consumer devices, electric vehicles, and electric bikes, all kinds of things. If you plug them in, if you attach them to the internet, if it requires a motor or a gimbal or any kind of a movement engine, there may be a power chip that Monolithic Power Systems creates for solving a problem for the company that made that device. So I am not worried about Monolithic Power Systems. The fact that the price has dropped doesn't bother me. And the reason for this, and this is I think just a good thing to keep in mind for kind of long-term investors, is it's really common for a stock price to fall from the top price to the bottom price by 50% or more sometimes. And it happens to a lot of companies. So if you're one to freak out or get scared or nervous when that happens, then you're probably not really well suited to be a long-term investor. And you're going to get really mediocre returns. This is a case of, I think, a company that's a great company, but its stock price maybe just got a little ahead of it. And then a bad analyst report or research report or short seller report came out and people just got scared. A lot of weak hands, as we say, sold the stock. So I continue to hold my shares of Monolithic Power Systems, and I see no reason for me not to hold it. Then the final stock in this portfolio that has been a loser has been Transmedics Group, and that one is down 48.29% so far this year. That's been the biggest loser on this particular account. And what I'd say, again, is the company to me seems very interesting. It's a small cap and it's a biotech or a medical device company. And these are very speculative plays. If I wasn't willing to stomach a lot of volatility in that stock price, I wouldn't buy small caps, and I definitely wouldn't buy like a speculative healthcare play like this. But they seem to be doing something that nobody else is doing, which I believe puts a moat around this business. They've created a system of machines, equipment that help doctors who are doing transplants transplant tissues from the donor to the recipient, and keeping those tissues, whether it's heart or lungs or liver, in a prime physiological state. So they stay cold if they need to, or they stay warm, or the blood is circulated through the tissue like the heart while it's being transported. And I don't know whether they keep just a cardioplegia solution on the heart or they actually keep donor blood on the heart, but they have a way of keeping the organs preserved during transportation. And during 2024, they purchased a fleet of airplanes so that they can actually handle the logistics themselves rather than depending on a third party to do the air transportation. So the way I see it with any kind of a new company or a startup, you're gonna have times when the whole process might have some hiccups in it. I looked at the earnings for Transmedics Group and they're actually excellent. So for Transmedics Group, they reported $108 million in revenue for the quarter that ended September 2024. And that was a year-over-year increase of 63.7%. So that's fantastic. Year over year, 63.7%. And the earnings per share increased 12 cents versus negative 12 cents a year ago. So I think things are going in the right direction for Transmedics Group. I'm willing to just not really sweat the small stuff when it comes to the volatility in the kind of month to month or day to day with a stock. So I plan to hold Transmedics Group. One of the things that I want to remind you guys of, and this is just so you'll understand my own approach, is when I set up a portfolio like this, I am trying, my plan here is to get maybe 1 or 2 or 3 possible stocks that could really appreciate a lot in the next 5 or 10 years. And if 1 or 2 of these does really, really well, it could just carry the whole portfolio with it. And the 1 or 2 that lose 50% or lose 70% are almost negligible. They just kind of fade into the distance, and I don't worry about them. I don't panic sell them or anything like that. Some people are really into rebalancing and reharvesting and moving things around. That's not me. I let my winners run, and the losers, even though it might be smartest to kind of try to discard them or cut them, sometimes, just sometimes, stocks stay down for several months or even a few years before coming back. So I really don't sweat the small stuff. My goal here is from a 10 stock portfolio, if I can be right on 6 of them or 7 of them and they're positive, they will offset the 3 or 4 that might be negative. And in this way, overall, the portfolio has a good chance at beating the market. And so far with this particular ETF portfolio, fictional ETF, my returns are actually really good. They're 22%, but you have to keep in mind that I was stopped out of almost all of these names back in July. So the returns here are simply from September 3rd until not even 3 months later. And a 22% return for me is fantastic, especially in that short time frame. And when I look at this whole portfolio, it really is the Vistra position that's carrying everything. And I think the fact that I have made that my largest position, in part by adding more to it than the other stocks, but also just because the gains in this one stock have been so great. They're now at about $4,900 just in that one stock in the past 2.5 months. And if Vistra continues to do well and grow its earnings, I see no reason that I would not continue to add to this position. But definitely, I'm not one of those people who trims because the stock is going up or who sells when I can lock in a gain. Vistra for me is going to be a long time hold, along with Constellation and many of the other stocks in this portfolio. So let me know in the comments if you have any questions about these things. I know one of you had asked about Monolithic Power. I hope I answered your question. Michael Singh is a great CEO in my opinion. He's smart. He founded the company in 1997 and he's still the CEO, and he really knows what he's doing. I think a lot of the things that happen in markets are noise, And there's just been so much going on in the last few months with elections, with NVIDIA volatility, and it's kind of affecting all of the stocks in the market. And so I don't let it bother me, but I do make these videos just to keep you guys updated with my portfolio and my thinking on these stocks. If you have not yet subscribed, please subscribe to the channel if you want to learn more about investing in stocks. I mainly cover small cap stocks. This year I've been specializing in semiconductor and also energy stocks, specifically those that drive the power to data centers. And I'm kind of a specialist when it comes to ETFs. I used to invest a lot more in ETFs. Now I'm kind of shifted my focus to small cap portfolios that I'm creating. But I really like small cap ETFs like AVUV and VB. And every month I invest in the total stock market index from Vanguard, VTI. So if you have any questions or want to learn more about ETF investing, this is a great place for you. Look forward to seeing you in the next video. Hope you have an awesome day, and thank you so much for spending some time and being here.